friends, it's time for a pantry chit chat plus a little extra things while we're chit chatting. I did a video on canning pumpkin. I'll have it up tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning. Oh, it turned out beautiful. The pumpkin, that is. Anyway, I saved all the seeds, so I want to show you how I roast my pumpkin seeds. But with these, I washed them, got all the schmutz out of them, and I laid them out on a towel. Excuse me. Put another towel over them and patted them real dry because, and these are real dry, pretty dry. See that? Good and dry. And I gotta have them dry because if you don't, if you put them in there, you know, and mix them with a little oil and your salt and all your goodies, they're just going to steam. They're not really going to roast, and you're not going to get crispy pumpkin seeds. And these, when they're crispy, oh, they're good for salads. They're good just to munch on, just to graze on. So anyway, what I do is I never measure anything. This is just a nice big bunch of seeds, so you're probably not going to measure anything. But I want a nice, probably a good tablespoon of olive oil in there, okay? And then I'm going to put, nice healthy bit of salt in there. Yeah, that would be good. And I'm going to put some onion powder in there because that's good stuff. Now, my husband don't eat onions because, well, he likes them, but he's got to be very careful with them. But I can use all the onion powder I want. That don't seem to bother him. Go figure. Anyway, gotta have a, let me break that up. Gotta have a little bit of garlic. I was digging through my spices. I got so many spices under there, and I'm running out of room. I couldn't find my homegrown garlic powder in there. I better put this stuff aside. I'll set it up here with it. These are going to go down in there in the spice bed. Okay, the salt I got to put up there. Oh, and then I got to put a little parsley on these because that's always yummo. Okay. All right. These are going to be good. I have to hide them from my husband. Okay, I'm just going to mix that all up really good. Really, really, really good. Beside of that, if I took my olive oil away too soon, I'm just going to put just a dot of, well, it's a seed, just a dot of olive oil on my tray. But anyway, with today's little chit chat, we're going to talk about a few must-haves in your pantry. Because everybody's still working on their pantry, and your pantry is a never-ending job. You're always stocking your pantry. Always going to stock it. Anyway, dump those right on there. These are going to be so good. These are so good on salads. I love them on my salads and just to eat plain. But I'm sure you can put them in your nut mixes or trail mixes or whatever. I'll spread them out real good. And while we're yakking, I'm going to go run them into the oven. That way you can see them before we're all done. Because it only takes about 10 minutes at 400 degrees to get them nice and crispy and yummy. Okay? Just flatten them out the best you can. You see I use gloves because I don't want a big mess. Alright. Let me take my gloves off. Let me run this out to the oven. Check out my pantry and I'll be right back. Alright, those are going to be good. Okay, let me move this aside over here. Oh no, I'll leave this right here. I love this big old butcher block on wheels. Let me get my, you got your tea or your coffee and my notepad. Boy, friends, I've been so busy today, I think I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached to me. Okay, so I wrote a few notes on here. We can do like a pantry check, but there are, when you're stocking your pantry, there's some must-have staples, and I mean must-have staples. And a lot of it you can get dirt cheap, okay? Number one would be pastas and grains. You can see, let me back this up a little bit so you can see. I've got all my pastas right up here in these bins. This is the only place I have pasta. I've got lasagna noodles, I got shells, macaroni, I got little wheat spirals, I got wheat noodles here, which go on top of that. I got bow ties, I got small shells, spaghetti noodles, and then also, right up here and there is a whole different category, but those are all my beans. Not all my beans, but like your 15 bean soup, 16 bean soup. I got that in there. So those are my pastas, and I still got a few boxes under my shelf. So you always want to have pastas. Those are cheap, and they will feed a multitude of people. And included with my pastas, I usually count in my dehydrated sliced potatoes, but we'll talk about that in my other category. This is mainly the pastas. That's it. And those pastas, when I stock that up, every single time, and I don't care if that's completely stocked, you know, if I can't fit another noodle in it. If I go to the grocery store, or when I go do a grocery haul, I always take, I want to say about $40, $40 to $50, because mind you, I don't go every week. I usually take about $40 to $50 with me, and I dedicate that strictly to my pantry. So when I find pasta on sale, this stuff happened to have been on sale for 79 cents for a 1 pound box. So I load it up. I mean, sometimes I might come home with, you know, if it's 2 for $1, you know, you get 2 pounds for the price of one. I'm going to come home with all $50 or $40 worth of pasta. I don't care. Pasta will last a long time. Pasta, it won't last indefinite, but darn near close to it. So you can stock right up on pasta and not have to worry about it going bad, because it will last way beyond what they call the expiration date, which, by the way, y'all watch that Pantry Chit Chat about expiration dates. I hope so. If not, watch it. It is good. So pasta will last forever. And the grains, I got oats and barley and cornmeal. I only have a little container of cornmeal because I really don't use it. I use it only, I don't even really bake a lot of cornbread. Now there's those of you probably would use it just as religiously as you would flour, baking a lot of cornbread, but I don't do that. So the only time I really ever use my cornmeal is if I do pizzas, which is very rarely, or if I do beer bread, which is very rare too. So I only got a little container of cornmeal. And breakfast cereals, that would be included in your grains. Your oats, your barley, your cornmeal, your rice, which I've got all my rices up here. I've got loads of rice. And I store oatmeal. I got barley up here. Let's see, where is my barley? I got, no, that's lentils. Oh, I thought I had barley. Maybe I don't. Maybe I need to put that on my pantry list, because I'm sure I have some here somewhere, because I don't use it all the time, but I did have, yes, I got barley. Right here. And see, it's full, because I don't use it very often at all. But it's still a good pantry staple, because we will eat it. It's just not right now. And it'll last indefinitely. When they're in a nice container, they'll last almost indefinitely. A nice airtight container. And my food saver, I have the little caps that you can make these jars airtight for long-term storage. So the stuff like the barley and the lentils and, you know, my mushrooms and peas soups, my split peas, things like that, that I have stored for a while, there's no air in them. Now, they're not for long-term storage, so no, I don't have an oxygen absorber in them because they will be used up, and I'll wind up replacing them within a few years. So anyway, with that, you want to store, your breakfast cereals and stuff. And if you don't, you can get breakfast cereal. On a good sale, you usually can get a good deal on it. Me, I only store a few bags of breakfast cereal because I make my own granola. And I make that out of everything that's already in my pantry. So I really save, because if you've ever wanted to buy granola, it's not cheap. But it is so healthy for you, and it is so good. So I just make my own with all my pantry stock. So you store all that, your pastas and your grains. And the next would be, and the baking goods, which would be the flour and stuff, that's all in another category. So we're just doing pasta and grains. I just told you about that. And of the ones, pasta and grains, the ones that'll last nearly forever are your rice, your oats, your honey, your sugar, your salt, and let's see, this isn't grains. This is what will last long. Is rice, oats, honey, sugar, salt, vinegar. And beans can last a long time too. So, that was that. Now back to our must-haves. We just did the pastas and the grains. Now the next would be all your canned goods. Now I do all mine, mostly mine is home canned goods. So, I've got my canned tomatoes, I've got my baked beans, I got potatoes, beets, green beans, my canned meats, carrots, I got veggies, I got cabbage, I got all my soup bases, my soup broths, you got all that. And, if you don't can your own, you most certainly can hit those Spartan sales or Our Family, whatever, you can hit a canned goods sale and you can just load right up, Or if you're stocking it on a budget and you can only do so much, you just know they have those about twice a year. So just start putting money in a little kitty pot, and when that sale comes up, dedicate all that money to your pantry and stock right up on those sales. Those are nice, the canned goods sales. Even though I do a lot of canning myself, home canning, I still stock up on the canned goods sales. Things that we're going to use, like tuna fish. I stock up on a lot of tuna fish. Now I don't even know where the heck I put it now. Oh, it's back there. I got like 15 cans back there on my shelf. I got lots of canned beans that I've canned myself. Plus I've got some canned goods that I got on a good sale was refried beans. I love refried beans. I got some of those, but canned beans are cheap. Very cheap. They're even cheaper when you can them yourself. And you can go right to the Dollar Tree sells beans. They sell the bags of beans. I think it's a pound-sized bag of beans for $1. And you can can them up. And I did a video today showing you how you can just take a bag of dried beans, wash them, put a 1/3 cup in each of your jars, fill it up with water, can it, and you've got beans for your pantry, all ready to eat. And then of course you can keep some that are dried if you want to make soup or whatever. But canned beans they're good to have. They're a good staple. And of course the canned veggies, which I just said, the tomatoes and the tuna fish and the canned veggies. And I got all my canned broths, and I even got canned fruit down there. I've got applesauce, apple butter. I've got some jams, but not a whole lot. I've got syrups that I've made, like strawberry syrup. I don't know where the heck I put it. It's down here somewhere. I rearranged everything because I was running out of room. Oh, my strawberry syrup is right here. And I canned this. Look how thick that is. Oh, that's wonderful. I canned that, last year I canned that. Excuse me. Last June. And they haven't used it yet, but I had it hidden. I'm saving that for like winter time. Anyway, and I got strawberries. So I've got a lot of canned home canned fruit and vegetables, and that saved me a mega ton of money. But if you don't have if you don't do your own home canning, you can hit a lot of those sales and really hit pay dirt on it. You can hit a lot of sales and save a lot of money and get a lot of goods for your pantry. And the other thing you wanna do is with your canned goods is your peanut butter and your nut butters. Now, you know, I really couldn't do a lot of major storing with peanut butter because they eat it so fast. My family eats peanut butter like you wouldn't believe. I could buy one of those great big huge tubs of peanut butter. I'd have to buy once a month. Peanut butter I'm always buying. It seems like I can never get enough to keep in storage. I might have a couple jars, you know, at one point in time during the month that are safe on the shelf, but not for long. And but nut butters are good to have. They're good to have on hand too. And the other thing that you want to keep on hand in your pantry are oils like olive oil, vegetable oil, you know, canola oil, corn oil, all your oils and spices. Now I grew a lot of my herbs, my own herbs, and but spices, you can go right to the Dollar Tree and you can buy a big container of spice like parsley flakes, say, for $1. Or sometimes they have the smaller ones that are 2 for $1, so you can get different kinds. And spices will last quite some time, especially if you store them correctly. You know, cool, dry, and airtight. And just use, you know, just keep out what your family's gonna be using in the short term. But spices, you need your spices and your herbs and your oils and your vinegars. Now, I don't do a whole lot of vinegars, but a lot of people cook with them, and the vinegar is a staple must-have. Vinegar works for food as well as cooking, so it's got a dual purpose to it. Wonderful. It's always good to have. I had a gallon jug holding my window open all summer long, and I just closed the window and I started, because I ran out of my other vinegar, so I had to come in here and get it. So I just 2 days ago took that gallon of vinegar and opened it up. So I have to put another one on my list for next time. But I go through that quite a bit when it's canning season. Hold that thought, I gotta grab our stuff. Oh, they have to go a little longer. They're not crispy like I like them. Anyway, where was I at? Well, I lost track. It's not fun getting old. Anyway. Oh, oils and spices. We touched on oils and spices. And your baking supplies. Your baking supplies, your flour, your cornstarch, your baking soda, your sugars, you know, all that. You're going to want to store that. And that is not always cheap. And unless you hit a good sale, when you do hit that good sale, you're going to want to dedicate what money you got to your pantry for that. Especially if you bake a lot of breads and do a lot of baked goods. That's almost, it's a must. These are must-haves. So, anyway, I have got, oh my gosh, just tons of stuff. I have been so busy canning. And over here I had to put, I'll show you. I had to put, you'll see it, right here. I had to double stack them because, you know, this is the honeydew list for the, this is on a honeydew list for the shelves to go through here. So down here, I just laid some, and you can do this as long as you're careful with it, and you lay something in between those jars. I got cardboard down there, a nice piece of cardboard on both sides, so I can double stack my pints. And that's what I did. I ran out of room. But I am almost, friends, all set for my season, for my canning season. And then after this is done, after I'm done with this, then I'll just go back to, you know, sale. Let me fix my camera. Then I'll go back to getting sale items, watching for sales items and stuff for my pantry. But I've got all my dried stuff down here. I think you can probably see that. I got apples and I got tomatoes down there, my dry roasted tomatoes. But I've got oranges and apples and limes and lemons and cranberries, bananas. I've got figs. I've got pears. I've got peanuts on that shelf. But a lot of this stuff, the banana chips and the cranberries and raisins and my nuts, my walnuts, that's stuff that I use in my granola. And speaking of that, honey is another thing that you're gonna want. It's a pantry must-have, and honey will last indefinitely as long as there's no moisture introduced to honey. It's so low in moisture that it will last forever. It's wonderful stuff. So you could hit a good sale, because honey's not cheap either, but you could hit a good sale and just stock right up on it because it lasts forever. So in my, I got more flour up there because I'm always baking bread or rolls. I'm always doing a lot of baking, so I run out of a lot of flour. And my cousin Joy, she just gave me 10 pounds of flour that she wasn't going to use. 10 pounds of flour. That's nice. I gave her some of my chicken parmesan. She got all excited. So it's a good thing. She doesn't live too far from me. You see her on here. She's the one I call Joy Joy. And she's always writing comments on there. She just lives about, Joy Joy? Probably a half hour away from me. And I took her some cabbage rolls, some chicken parmesan, and like a pasty pot pie from my pasties. I took her a pot pie out of that for her to try, so that she can have a yummy too. Anyway, so I'm waiting for the pumpkin seeds to get done. But those things, I think I hit everything too. Yeah. I think I got everything on here. All our must-haves. Pastas and grains, canned goods, baking staples, oils and spices, and water. You definitely want to have water in your pantry for if ever your electricity goes out, like ours did. Not for very long, though. I think the longest I've ever been without power up here in northern Michigan is maybe 3 days. So you're always going to want to keep water on hand. And I do. Out in my sun porch, we've always got a couple, 2-3 cases of waters. And then I keep water canned. I'll show you. I keep water canned up here. I think I showed it to you before. I call it my dummy jars. See right there. I call this my dummy jars. And I had 8 of them, but I used one. Probably when we ran out of our power the last time. We ran out of power in that storm. But those are nice to have. And not only you can use those too for drinking or cleaning or anything. First aid, you can use them for anything. But normally they just sit up there. They're my dummy jars, and I use them when I don't quite have a canner full, because I don't always want to just run 1 or 2 jars in a canner. So what I'll do is I'll just run, I'll throw those dummy jars in there with it and make it a full load. Or else I'll can more. But you always want to have water in your pantry too. That's necessary. So with that, I don't have a whole lot left to do with my pantry, and there is a spider under my shelf. He's huge. That little booger spun a web under my shelf. Well, he's not staying because he doesn't pay rent. Oh, he's big. Oh, he's big. He's like one of those big looks like a daddy long leg, but he's big. Anyway, he's okay for right now. He's just not going to live here because he's not paying rent. So I looked down here to see what I had stored down there, and I didn't mention milk. Another nice thing to have in your pantry, an essential staple, is milk. Now my friend gets this all the time, this 1%, the shelf-stable milk. I don't drink this. I don't drink any milk, but I don't drink this. I don't use this for drinking. I strictly use this for baking. And the other one that I have is the powdered milk. And I get tons of them. I got a box down here that's got about 10 packages of it. And here, I'll show you. I've got about 8 or 10 packs of it. And it's just instant non-fat dry milk. I use this for a lot of baking, and in a lot of my soup and my SOS mix is what I call it, magic mix, whatever you want to call it. I use it for that. I use it for my base, or for my scalloped potatoes. I don't drink it. You know, we don't use it for drinking. We just use it for baking. That way I'm not using all my milk unless I'm using something that only calls for, you know, a quarter or a half cup of milk. Then I'll use regular milk. But when I'm doing, you know, some homemade hamburger helper or something like that, that's what I use. I mix that up and use that, and it works wonderful. So you got to have those two things as well. I didn't have that written down, but when I looked down, I saw it. And yes, that's a necessity. So anyway, let me go and check. I'm going to turn the camera off just for a minute because I'm going to go check those pumpkin seeds. Those are cool. These turned out good. And I did taste them too. They got onion and garlic and parsley and a little olive oil on them. They turned out nice. I'm going to set them there. My husband was coming in to get him, and he's camera shy. He won't come near me when my camera's rolling. I pulled him out of the oven, and he was coming to rob him. And I said, oh, my camera's on. And he went running back out there. It's the only way to save him. That way I'll get one before he dives into them. He's hilarious. My whole family is hilarious. I tell you, they eat more in some countries. And you guys always comment about our Tuesday night dinners. And then, forgive me, but I forgot which one of you commented that. J-Jo said I probably don't ever have any yummies left over. No, they fight over who's going to take it home, if there's any leftovers. But I'm going to tell you a story, because one time I made my big pressure canner full. I know I didn't pressure can it or nothing, but I just used the pot. And I made 22 quarts for dinner of chicken and dumplings, my homemade chicken and dumplings. And there was my husband and I, our 3 kids, well, we got 8 kids together, but my 3 kids, a few of his kids, we had the whole family. We had like 10 or 12 people. And then my son and my ex-son-in-law, we had 22 quarts. 22 quarts. I could have opened up shop and fed half a Kaleva with what I had. You know, everybody could have got a bowl. But here, they got in a fight. Not literally a fist fight. I don't mean that literal. It's just they were fighting over the last bowl of chicken and dumplings. I didn't make enough. And then ultimately I got in trouble because they said it was my fault because I didn't make enough. So I had to make the next night another 22 quart pan of chicken and dumplings, my homemade chicken and dumplings, to make them all happy because I hadn't made enough the first time. 22 quarts, so that's 44 quarts, friends. 44 quarts of chicken and dumplings, and they fought over them. It was hilarious. They eat like they're like sharks in a feeding frenzy when we have Tuesday night dinners. It's hilarious. I have the time of my life. Our family only gets together that one day a week, and let me tell you, we have a ball. And every Tuesday, when we're at dinner time, it's always somebody else's turn to say, you know, what we want next week. So we decide then what we're going to have next week, which next Tuesday is Mexican night. So that's going to be kind of fun. Anyway, when they were younger, my 3 kids were all living at home. We had a Thanksgiving dinner, and I know everybody said, okay, we want this kind of pie and this kind of pie, and I want pumpkin, and I want apple, and I want lemon meringue, and I wound up making 8 pies for Christmas, and there was, what, 10 of us maybe? I think 10 or 11 of us at Christmas, or 10 of us, not 10 of us, and I made 8 pies, 8 nice size, you know, your big homemade pies. They fought over every single one of them. They were fighting over whose pie was who, and who was taking it home, and who was getting leftovers. And it's I'm surprised there wasn't any leftover. But what was left over, they were fighting. It's hilarious. But nothing tops the cake like that. Those 22 quarts of chicken and dumplings I made. And they were fighting over it. They were wrestling each other, fighting to get to the kitchen to get that last bowl. So I had to make another one. And it was hilarious. And these are good. These are still snapping and popping. And when these are dry, I got a little container up there that I'm going to put them in, because I'm not going to worry about putting these in an airtight container or putting them in the fridge, because they're not going to last long enough. As soon as I shut that camera off, my husband's going to come out here. He's going to come flying in here, and there's going to be nothing of them. And I got to taste them, because they sure look good. I know, they smell good, and they're crispy. That's what I like. And that was money well spent. I bought 3 pumpkins. You know, you're about yay big. 3 of them I bought, $1 a piece, so I spent $3. I've got, what did I say, 13 pints of pumpkin for, you know, I canned up 13 pints of pumpkin, and I did all these pumpkin seeds for $3. You can't buy it that cheap. And even if you count the, what is it, $2.10 and the canning lids, still $5 for a whole tray of roasted pumpkin seeds and 13 pints of pumpkin for puree. You can't beat that price. That's a heck of a savings. So anyway, just a short little chit chat. Tell you about your pantry must-haves. Save your pennies for the canned goods sales. And if you're a canner, well, I already know you're busy. You probably almost got your pantry stocked. But you know, it's your pantry, a good working pantry. The job's never done. You are always putting something away, or getting something, or canning something. Now, I'll can all winter long. During the winter time, I'll can my soups and my stews, and when they have the meat sales in the winter time is when I can a lot of meat. But for right now, I think my pantry is almost set. I only got a few things to put into my pantry, and it'll be done. And the other thing that I want to do is apple butter. So I got a little bit of apple butter yet to do, and I think I'll be sitting pretty with it. And then all I'll have to do is continue with the sales. And even the hamburger helper, even some of the box food, when it goes on sale, I buy it, because you know, my pantry, even my kids, my daughter just hit a sale, and she's the one that grabbed all the tuna fish that was on sale. It was albacore tuna on sale, and it was $1 a can. You can't find it that cheap. Anyway, she got me 12 cans of the tuna, and then she got me 10 boxes of hamburger helper for the pantry, because you just never know when you're gonna, you know, just need something little, or you have the grandkids, they come out with that, they want to have that for dinner or whatever, so you just doctor it up. But for $1 a box, you could feed 3 people on it for $1. You can't beat that. That's what I call stocking your pantry on a budget, most definitely. So anyway, a little more tidbit of information for your pantry, and I'll dig up some more information. I'll jot stuff down. My mind goes 180 miles an hour, and it's kind of hard when you do that, because then you think, oh geez, they already know all this. No, people not necessarily know all this, or they don't know what's going through my mind. But anyway, so that's it. I showed you how I do the pumpkin seeds, and we had a little bit of a chit-chat, and we had a good time. So I got my beans that are almost done in my canner, and my pumpkin is getting cool, so I need to check and make sure it all sealed. And it's getting late. It's still light out, but it's getting dark. We had dinner, so I'm going to go and I'm going to relax. So we will see you maybe tomorrow. And thanks for watching. You have a good night.